All right, ready. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please join us in engaging in the democratic process this evening with your local neighborhood board number 3, Waiʻalae Kāhala. My name is Christian De Quevedo, and we have with us our other lovely board members this evening. We got a lot on the docket today, so let's jump right on into it. First off, do I have a representative from the Honolulu Fire Department? A representative from the Honolulu Fire Department. Going once, going twice. Up next, the Honolulu Police Department. Do we have a representative from the Honolulu Police Department?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Lieutenant Muir from District 7, Honolulu Police Department. If everybody can hear me okay, we're going to begin with the neighborhood board stats for last month. So motor vehicle thefts, we were at 3, burglaries at 11, thefts at 11, and unauthorized entry into a motor vehicle, we're at 5. Total calls for service, 5,662. And so it is back to school season, of course. So some tips that we have for going back to school for our keiki. So bicycling, of course, wear a helmet, wear comfortable, brightly colored clothing or reflective vests. Make eye contact with drivers, pedestrians, and other cyclists to ensure they see you. Child pedestrian safety tips. So children are impulsive and may act without realizing the dangers around them, such as running across the street to see a friend, chase after a ball, etc. Children also lack judging speed and distances. They don't know of how fast or how far vehicles are. And other things like clothing. So regarding jackets and sweatshirt drawstrings, they may look trendy, but they can get caught on a lot of stuff, including elevators, playground equipment, and cribs. Remove drawstrings on hoods or around the neck of clothing. And that's all I have. Any questions for us?
Thank you for that update, Lieutenant Miura. Does anybody on the board have any questions from the gentleman from the Honolulu Police Department? Does anybody in the community have any questions for the gentleman from the Honolulu Police Department? That about takes us up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Have a good one. Up next, a representative of the Board of Water Supply. Lorna, are you here this evening? Board of Water Supply? Once, going twice. Department of Transportation, Casey Abe, are you here this evening?
Yes, I'm here. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Good evening, Chair Christian and members of the Waiʻalae Kāhala Neighborhood Board, Casey Abe from the State DOT Highways. At last month's meeting, I mentioned about the potholes and overgrowth along the eastbound on-ramp going towards Kalaniʻa Highway and the graffiti on the westbound off-ramp going towards Walnut Avenue. During my field inspection last week, Monday, our maintenance crew had addressed these concerns. But during my field investigation, the graffiti artists are still out there, so I'll work with our maintenance crew to remove or paint over their new artwork. At last month's meeting, there was a question as to when Walnut Avenue will be resurfaced. Talking to our pavement engineer, Walnut Avenue resurfacing project is scheduled to go out to construction in 2028. At last month's meeting, I mentioned our seismic retrofit project for the Waiʻalae Avenue viaduct will start in August or September. Well, the project started this past Monday, August 18th. The contractor's website is on the slide, but I will place it in the chat. Tentative completion date is July of next year. During my field investigation last Monday, I noticed the contractor was installing the construction work zone signs on the Waiʻalae Avenue off-ramp, and I noticed the traffic backing up past the 16th Avenue overpass. During my quick field inspection this past Tuesday, between 1:30 and 2 p.m., traffic started to back up past the 16th Avenue overpass as our contractor worked on expanding the foundation of the pillars that supports the viaduct. So we would like to remind the neighborhood board and the public to plan your trips accordingly and give yourself extra time if you need to travel in this area during the 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. work hours of the project. And finally, in last month's meeting, I mentioned I was still waiting for a response from our traffic branch on Chair Christian's letter requesting for immediate action to improve the pedestrian safety along Waiʻalae Avenue. We have hired a consultant and he is scheduled to complete the data collection by October of this year and tentatively complete the final report by April of next year. I am hoping the final report will recommend the board's proposed solutions of installing the red light enforcement cameras and program the traffic signals to an always traffic stop so pedestrians can scramble across the intersection in any direction, which is currently implemented in Waikiki and near Ala Moana Center. As mentioned previously, to help support and expedite the neighborhood board requests for these improvements, getting your state elected officials, Representative Haslam and Grandinetti and Senator Chang involved by having them contacting or emailing our Director of Transportation, Mr. Ed Sniffen, or our Deputy Director for Highways, Mr. Robin Shishido, will significantly help the neighborhood board's cause since these improvements will cost money and your elected officials are responsible for helping to shape the highways budget during each legislative session. If the report is completed in April of next year, we have time to submit a budget request for these improvements for the 2027 legislative session to consider since our internal deadline is July of 26. And if the funding is approved during the 27 legislative session, the design work can start in the fall of 27. If your elected officials do email our director and deputy director, please have them copy me so I can follow up and report back at the neighborhood board future meetings. This concludes my report. I can take any questions at this time.
Casey, as always, you are a beacon of hope. Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Mr. Abe from the Department of Transportation? Does anybody in the community have any questions? Please stand up to the microphone and speak. Introduce yourself.
Lockwood Young,
Evening,
Kāhala
Mr.
Towers condominium. I'm retired, so I go past that Waiʻalae exit every so often, picking up my grandkids and whatnot. And it's always backed up at a certain time, regardless of construction or not. So I just want to endorse the findings, and I hope the report will show that it's not related to construction. It's when they planned it so many years ago, they didn't expect so many cars as the usual problem is. So what's the solution is the next step. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that addition. Does anybody else have any questions for Casey Abe, Department of Transportation?
Mr. Abe, I'm Barrett Francis, also living in the area that the last gentleman mentioned about the Waiʻalae Avenue off-ramp from the H1. That is an ongoing, long-standing problem. And I did see the construction there that you were referring to that made it particularly extreme, the long line out onto H1, backing it way up. I am assuming, do you know, was that city construction there on the Waiʻalae Avenue on-ramp, not state construction that was backing that up?
Oh, the Waiʻalae Avenue is a state road, so it is a state project that's ongoing right now.
Do you have to know how, you may have mentioned and I missed it, how long is that construction expected to go for that we were
Well,
seeing?
it's tentatively stated to be completed next year in July, but again, I'll keep you informed.
May I make just a comment? From the looks of it, it was a severe, it's normally not a good situation, but this particular situation looked severe. I would expect that having the contractor or the state arrange for a traffic officer to move traffic through there more expeditiously, particularly when it narrows down to one lane at rush hours, would be very helpful for safety purposes. It frankly looked dangerous, and to have it going on for some number of months seems like something that should be addressed more directly.
Yeah,
Just a
from what
comment.
I understand, we're trying to limit the lane closures to just one lane. So you still have 2 open lanes during construction.
Well, the other day, that was being referred to, it was down to one lane,
One
and it
lane.
was, and the the backup onto the H1 was, 100 yards or more. I mean,
Okay,
it was not a good situation.
okay, I'll talk to our construction engineer about that.
Thank you for that addition, Mr. Francis.
Hi, Casey. Brian Wong. Just for clarification, I wanted to make sure that we were talking about the same roadway. I think the gentleman was referring to the Waiʻalae off-ramp going eastbound towards Times Supermarket and the construction going on along with the pillars right now. And it's making the traffic back up along the H1 freeway and not the one that just got started going westbound on the off-ramp there by Kāhala Nui and the shopping area. I just want to make sure that we understood that that's what area he was talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about the under Waiʻalae Avenue going eastbound. That's where the construction started.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or comments for Mr. Casey Abe from the Department of Transportation? All right, Casey, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, one more follow-up. Honolulu Fire Department, do you have a representative here this evening? Board Water Supply. Unfortunate. All right, coming up next, filling of vacancies. Subdistrict 2 has the opening of one vacancy. The dental benefits are excellent. The health care is exceptional. The payouts, the bribes, the bailouts, it's all really good. Please join us. Pretty please. Sir, if you take the right bribes, you can have whatever car you'd like. I, for one, am driving a Subaru, so not to brag. But if anyone is interested, is anybody here interested in joining our incredible democratic process this evening? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right. Up next, the election of officers. We have the opening for the role of secretary. Is anybody here interested on the board, interested in being the secretary? We're all looking at you, Sylvia. Oh, I second that. Sylvia, would you like to be secretary?
So for secretary, essentially you assist with the minutes. So you wouldn't do them. It would go through your neighborhood assistant, who's Anson. He would comprise the minutes. When he finishes the draft, he would send it to you and to the chair. And amongst yourself and the chair, you guys would provide edits and collaborate on the minutes. And then those minutes would be dispersed with the monthly meetings mail out to and for future posting.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Sylvia. Appreciate it. All right. Oh, sorry. Yes. All in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Up next, determination of meeting date, time, location, and format. I, for one, have been a strong proponent for moving our meetings actually into our district and trying to get it to the KCC Culinary School once they open their doors. This has been an ongoing topic of conversation, but does anybody else on the board have any additional places that they would like to nominate? Does anybody else in the community have any great ideas as to where they would like the meeting to be hosted to make it more accessible? I mean, again, if we take the right types of bribes, sir, we can have sushi every night. But it would actually be a really great way to experience what the culinary school is ongoing in, participate in it, and be able to tell our community exactly what's going on over there and why we should participate and support another gem in our community. So I'm here for it. Absolutely. Again, sushi, but I'm open to all ideas. Okay, so we will continue our conversation with KCC. Let's see, reports of members' attendance at other meetings. Did anybody have a meeting with other board members? Rich Turbin and I were at the Doris Duke Estate together for a lovely event that was hosted by them. So Rich and I were together. That is now reported. Up next, the Office of the Governor. Do we have a representative from Josh Green's office? A representative from Josh Green's office? Go once. Oh, Lorna. Lorna from the Board of Water Supply. Are you here?
Hi, good evening. I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
We can indeed.
Okay, sorry, I don't have my screen on and I'm sorry I'm late. I have a very
No
quick
worries.
announcement for this month. It's about Imagine a Day Without Water event that's is occurring. So we want to make sure you folks all bring your ohana for this year's annual Imagine a Day Without Water. It's going to be on Saturday, September 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this year we're going to have it at the Windward Mall Center Court, so air conditioned. Just during this event, learn about the One Water concept and why water is essential to every part of life. Explore interactive displays from over 20 city and state community organizations, and enjoy hands-on activities, prize giveaways, including a 45-gallon rain barrel and much more. And you can go on our website at www.boardofwatersupply.com/Water Hawaii to get more information on that event. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anybody on the board have any questions for Lorna from the Board of Water Supply?
Just a quick one.
Yes.
What is our current situation on water on the island?
Oh, sorry, could you repeat one more time? What is the current situation?
With
Of water
the
on our
water
island?
supply on the island? Yeah, with the lack of rain and everything, are we getting short or are we okay?
Well, we consistently monitor it. If there is anything to be aware of, we definitely will let you know. I will check with our community office and see if there is anything that, the community needs to be aware of. And then if there is something, I can report it at the next month's meeting, but they didn't tell me anything. So I guess no news is good news. So. Yeah, I
Thank
can,
you. I would agree with that. I mean, usually by this time, they're telling us to, conserve water, and they haven't yet. So I'm just wondering.
yeah, yes, no, we always do encourage conservation. So whenever you can, we do always encourage that. But yes, thank you. I'll make sure if there is anything to bring back to you folks next month, I'll let you folks know.
Perfect. Thank you, Lorna. Does anybody
Sure.
in the community have any questions for Lorna from the Board of Water Supply? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorna. Appreciate
Have a good
your time this
evening.
evening.
Apologize for the delay.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Thank you.
Still on the topic of the Office of the Governor, Governor Josh Green, representative. Well, it is on the agenda, so I'm going to bring it up anyways, especially since Mr. Barry Francis took all the time to come down here this evening. And shout into the void we will. The Department of Education, located on which street, Mr. Francis? 475 22nd Avenue has been in a constant state of disrepair and negligence of maintenance for an extended period of time. The residents of that area have been requesting ad nauseum repeatedly, very politely, in good spirit, I would say, that the Department of Education has a responsibility to take care of their facilities in the way that we all have the responsibility to take care of our facilities and our homes and our place in this neighborhood. And the Department of Education has neglected these duties in such a way that the neighbors have had to pitch in over and over and over again to clean it up themselves. We find this to be unacceptable. The request has been made for over 6 months. I would like somebody, again, I'm shouting into the void, but I would like somebody to please come to this facility, get it cleaned up, and make it so it isn't such an eyesore for everybody in this community. So if the void is listening, please do something about this, and we will catch you on the next time. Up next, Office of the Mayor is a representative from Rick Blangiardi's office here. Rick Blangiardi.
Good evening, Chair De Quevedo. This is John Nouchi, Deputy Director TTS, on behalf of Mayor Rick Blangiardi.
Good evening, John. How we doing?
I'm doing okay. It's been a busy week, but happy to see everybody on the board this evening. I have a few updates, if I may. I know this occurs later in the on the agenda, but Chair, you did have a question about regarding the 949 Kealaolu property and the 30-foot golf net fence.
That is
At the
correct.
last, I provided a update at the last meeting, but you questioned what happens to projects that are not in compliance but are in process with appeals. And DPP provided a response to that. If a project is found to be in a state of non-compliance and is currently in the appeal process, the daily fines will still accrue. So that's important to know. Currently, the project right now is in still in appeals, and the zoning board of appeals is still pending. However, the daily fines are still accruing.
Excellent. And how much are the daily fines?
I don't know, but I can pose that question.
That would be an excellent piece of information to provide us next time we meet. And John, I appreciate you for following up on this. Thank you.
Sure. There is a current case number in case anybody's interested. The current case number, you know what? I'll just drop that in the chat, but just for the record, it is CAS-86102-Q1Z0H7. So I think better I just drop that in the chat.
Thank you very much. I know Jim Nikolai, who lives right in that area, will be very pleased to hear that you followed up on this. With your experience in this sort of interaction with the DPP, I know there's been a lot of change over there. I know there's been a new permitting process and a lot of different faces over there for one reason or another. How has your experience been with them recently?
You're asking me?
Yes, sir.
I have great confidence in the leadership. Both Director Don Apuna and Deputy Director Brian Gallagher. We work very closely with both of them, and they are highly competent, skilled, and most of all, I'd say, if I may, that they are two very compassionate people. Not only compassionate, but passionate about trying to right the ship of that is DPP, turn a very large organization and make it more adept and more capable, both utilizing new technology and by having better training and presence with their employees.
It gladdens my heart to hear. Thank you, John. Do we have any additional updates for the evening?
Yes. Resident Cam raised concerns about a manhole cover sticking out an inch above the road on the corner of Waiʻalae and 7th Avenue. That was referred after we checked to E&V Wastewater, and they will be taking action on that. I can report back on any status, but I do believe that they are working on that right now, if not taken care of already. Resident raised a concern about a missing gate next to Wilson Community Park on the southern end of the Waiʻalae Nui Bridge above Waiʻalae Nui Stream. And Member Wong wanted an update of when DFM will replace the missing gate. DFM is aware and will schedule the repair not only to the missing gate, but they're also going to inspect the existing fencing. I know that was part of the concern, as soon as they can schedule a crew to get out there.
Marvelous. Thank you, John. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions for John Nuuchi from the Office of the Mayor? Anybody in the community?
Hi, John. Good evening. Paul Hogan from the Kāhala Towers Board of Directors here. I have 3 other members here. Just wondering about what's going on, process of our trying to get the red stripe in front of our driveway here to avoid accidents.
I can actually respond on this right now. It is DTS generally gets tasked with no parking restrictions. I think we're open, and I think this is later on the agenda, but I can tell you that as a matter of practice, the red striping is not enforceable by PD. A sign has to be placed. So if it's okay, I don't mind deferring that to, it looks like there's an item under Councilmember Tommy Waters' update.
Oh, okay. So later on in the evening, Councilman Waters will be here.
I do see it on the agenda, but if that is not the case, then I don't mind addressing it at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody
If
else
that's
have
okay
any-
with Chair.
Yep, absolutely. Does anybody else have any questions for John Nucci of the mayor's office? Going once, going twice. Sold. All right, up next, Council Member Tommy Waters. Do we have a representative from Council Member Tommy Waters?
Hi, good evening. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yes, we can.
Hi. Thank you, Chair and
Evening.
members and community members. Sorry, I do not have an update regarding that red striping. Um, but I can take it back to Chair Waters and provide an update at our next meeting unless Mr. Noguchi has an update for you guys. I do have some other things that we've been following up on. A constituent reported that the houses continue to occupy Waiʻalae Stream and that when there's heavy rains, their belongings get swept downstream to Kāhala Beach. The Department of Community Service says outreach services have been provided, and HPD says officers have issued 4 criminal trespass citations. Another constituent reported that a new house was being built on Kolohala Street that included plans for a pickleball court, and they raised some obvious concerns of potential noise impacts. So we are in the process of checking with DPP and we'll provide an update once we receive one. And lastly, Bill 33, introduced by Chair Waters, reported out of Zoning Committee today and will be heard for third reading in September Council meeting. Bill 33 will strengthen DPP's ability to enforce laws and hold violators accountable, including the physical posting of stop work orders to help curb illegal monster homes. And also regarding that DOE property on 22nd Avenue, we actually had quite a few neighbors speak out about it at Chair Waters' joint town hall meeting, the Kaimuki joint town hall meeting with Representative Tina Grandinetti last month. So Chair Waters' office is working with Rep. Grandinetti's office regarding that.
Awesome.
And with that, I'm happy to take any questions or concerns. Back to Chair Waters.
Perfect. Thank you. Well, we do have the gentleman here from the Kāhala Towers who will give you a lowdown on the situation. He's been kind enough, as long as several other representatives from the Kāhala Towers, to try and save the city and county several $1 million in a lawsuit, but I will let him explain that.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for coming to visit us here. So one thing concerned, it's a very dangerous exit, but I was reading on the thread that they put down the wrong street. They put Kilohana Avenue, which is in Kalihi Valley, not Kilauea Avenue, regarding the stripe of where Kāhala Towers is. So that's a big issue because they said, I was reading more and I said, oh, it's going to be, they got to take a look at it and this and that. But if they're looking at the wrong street, nothing's going to happen.
Just to provide a little background and context on this, Kāhala Towers, which is located on the corner of Kilauea and Waiʻalae, is it?
Yes.
Has a pullout that is used every morning and every evening by a majority of the flow of the traffic, which comes in and out of the building. The exit is positioned on such a way that there is a curve on the road. Many cars park right up into the actual driveway itself, which makes it near impossible to see as you are pulling out. They were kind enough to invite me down. I inspected the site myself. At a minimum, a 40-foot parking, no parking zone must be created. And now that the state, city, and county and all other interested parties have been put on notice and have been made aware of this issue, should something happen, that could involve a little bit more extra legal trouble. So if we could speed up this process and get that red stripe and that sign, and John, you said that we have to put a sign as well, is that correct?
Yes, I just want to be very clear that red striping on the curb is not enforceable by HPD. It has to have a sign. Currently, we don't sign every driveway because, but I do understand that in this case, if we're taking more than the standard area, then we would install a sign. No parking from here to, and we can establish that via the signs. And then it would be completely enforceable by HPD.
Beautiful. Whatever we can do to make that process move forward as quickly as possible, we'd like to see that happen.
Yep, I'll send my engineers out and they can do an assessment and figure out what that's going to be. Generally, the process when we remove parking, though, we report back to the neighborhood board just based on our general process. And I think we will probably do that just to stay true, and that there will be notification about that removal of parking. But we can aim to get that done.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John. Also, just a FYI, we did have an accident there with a garbage truck and one of our residents within the last 4 months.
Thank you. I acknowledge that. And also, I will also put in a note for our Department of Facility Maintenance to correct the sign from Kilohana to Kilauea.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
John, Brian Wong again, just to add a little bit more context, I guess, that parking area fronting the Kāhala Nui facility is similar in that there's about a 40-foot area that's allowed for traffic to come in, and there's no parking 40 foot to the driveways, about that length on their driveways as well. Multi cars coming in and out of that facility. So I would think there's a similar situation there at Kāhala Towers, and I see no reason why that cannot happen there, to have that type of restriction in the parking for safety of all our communities there. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I may as well have our engineers do a twofer when they're out there.
Awesome. Thank you for that responsiveness, Sean. Appreciate that. Ms. Luke, do we have anything else to report from Councilmember Tommy Waters' office?
No, that's it.
All right. Excellent. Well, thank you both so much for your time this evening.
Thank
Up
you.
next, House District 19. Do we have a representative from Mark Hasham's office? Mark Hasham. Going once, going twice. Sold. House District 20. Do we have a representative from Representative Tina Grandinetti's office? Tina Grandinetti. Your elected representatives. Up next, Senator Stanley Chang. Do we have a representative from Senator Stanley Chang's office? When are elections again? Just wondering. Okay. Up next, we have residents' community concerns. This is your time to voice your concerns into the community. Each person will be given 3 minutes to talk about whatever is on their mind regarding the Kāhala community. Rich Turbin is not here tonight. However, he wanted me to express his displeasure at the bicycle lanes on Alakea. Obligatory, done. And then let's see, does anybody in the community have anything they'd like to put forward? You, sir. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Randy Port, and this is in particular for Tasha Luke, because she had the courtesy to come here today through the VGC. Myself and Barry Francis here, and Allison Keith Francis, and other people in the neighborhood are involved with that situation with the DOE lot and around Pu'upanini Avenue, and the DOE's refusal to deal with that situation, which we find rather amazing. But I'd like to point out that on the 23rd of July, concerned citizens attended the joint town hall with Representative Grandinetti and Council Member Tommy Waters. And we talked to them about that. And then we gave them the PowerPoint presentation, which I have a copy here for the neighborhood board. On the 30th of July, we gave them a PowerPoint presentation, which pointed out the issues and as to the history of it and why it is a problem. It's a safety, security issue. It causes more trash. And I would like to point out that actually we got some positive feedback from Adam Dew and Tasha Luke at Tommy Waters' office. And Tasha, if you're still on, we want to say thank you very much. that your office is jumping on this and trying to get some resolution with that, which really appreciate it. And also for Emily Cristobal at Representative Grandinetti's office. Well, we know that she's out of town right now, but Emily Cristobal at Representative Grandinetti's office has also contacted the DOE and is trying to get some action out of them. And so we appreciate that very much, that there is at least some efforts underway between Councilman Tommy Waters' office and Representative Grandinetti's office. So again, we say thank you to them for that. Hopefully we'll get some results, but they're giving it a shot now. We still find it amazing, frankly, that the DOE says that all this trash and all the dead trees and all the brush, since they don't have green waste disposal capabilities, they cannot do anything other than sweep it back up and let it come back down on the sidewalk where people then have to walk in the street. They have 6-acre lot there. How come they can't even just put it in trash bags for right now and throw it on their 6-acre lot? But in any case, they're working that issue. So again, we thank both Tommy Waters' office and Representative Grandinetti's. And for the board, we have a hard copy PowerPoint slides of the documents that we gave to Representative Grandinetti and Councilman Tommy Waters on the 30th of July for your record. And so, Tasha, for your information, we want you to know that we're giving a copy to the neighborhood board also for that. And also, I realize there's one hard copy we have here, but if you wanted to, we could always send you a PDF if you want electronically.
Absolutely. I
Okay.
believe Barry has my email, so we'll be able to get that sent over.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time to put that together. And
thank you.
also, thank you guys for continuing to push on this with us. We'd like to see this resolved. We'd like to see the neighborhood looking better, everybody feeling better and safer and cleaner.
Yes.
It's frankly amazing that we
Yeah.
haven't been able to get this done.
And one thing we pointed out, and certainly Representative Grandinetti and Tommy Waters were receptive to, is the problem with the called broken window theory. You have trash being dumped. People pull up there at lunchtime, they see trash all by the side of the road. What are they going to do? Throw more trash out there. And we're getting tired of cleaning up the trash of a lot of other people. And we're talking about everything from food, car batteries, mattresses. I could go on, but I only got 3 minutes. I probably burned that up already. Oh, yeah, and abandoned vehicles.
Oh.
It's seen as no man's land. And, with all those dead trees and trash there, it's really silly, actually.
Absolutely.
Okay, and should I give this to you, sir?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
An interesting double standard that we are required to clean up our own private properties and the Department of Education does not. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Do we have any other community concerns to bring up this evening? Anything in the evening that is bothering us? Anything in the community we'd like to see improved? Anything we are doing well? Going once, going twice. Oh, I see somebody in the back over there. You miss. Oh, please speak into the microphone so those online can hear you.
The question I have is, Mr. Turbin had a complaint about bike lanes being where?
Downtown in Alakea.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. I have a segment later.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, second. Okay, up next, board business. The approval of Thursday, May 15th's regular meeting minutes. Sylvia, do we have any corrections to issue? Okay, perfect. Can I get a vote in favor of approving, is it May's meeting minutes?
I want to make a comment first on it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Having this being an annual time that we are supposed to go ahead and go through our legal procedures again and watch the videos and all that. And one of the things I noticed is that our minutes do not meet the requirements of the sunshine laws. I noticed this month's minutes are much, much better. Thanks to you. And I feel we should go ahead and approve the May 15th ones and move on rather than going backwards.
Absolutely. Do I have a vote in favor? Seconded?
I second it.
All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Motion carries. And then, let's see, July 11th, regular meeting minutes as well. Sylvia, any updates on that? Any? Perfect. All right. So with the changes, can I get a vote of approval? Can I get a second? All in favor? Beautiful. Up next, presentations and new business. Shangri-La Museum. Do we have any representatives here from the Doris Duke Estate Shangri-La? Please come up, introduce yourselves into the microphone, please.
Aloha, I am Ben White, the Executive Director at Shangri-La. I have the privilege of now having the role for 2 years. Mahalo for the opportunity to present to you all tonight. I'm joined by Jim Hayes from Planning Solutions and our Deputy Executive Director, Leah Major, who's been with us for over 15 years. We are here to briefly walk through a few changes to our conditional use permit that continue to highlight what we're doing to be a more vital community asset to not just Kāhala, but all of Oahu and the islands, while also, of course, being a continued good neighbor to especially a few folks who are here and others that may be watching at home.
Please go ahead.
Great. And so rather than go on, I know we have a short amount of time. We actually have a brief video to show a little bit about what we have been up to at Shangri-La. I know many of you know us as a museum, but we are also doing a lot more in the community and bringing important conversations to put Hawaii on the map in a different way than just a tourist destination. Thank you. We know we have a short amount of time, so we made it as quick as we could. I'll introduce Jim to walk you through some of the changes that are going to be outlined in what we're proposing. And again, you could think of us as a cultural and convening center that has a beautiful museum rooted in the Islamic art collection that Doris Duke spent her life creating to then give back to the community.
Thank you, Mr. White. I'm going to have you guys start doing commercials for my companies. That was really exceptional. So thank you. Mr. Hayes?
Thank you, Jim Hayes with Planning Solutions. You can go ahead to the next slide. So these are the activities that Shangri-La is currently hosts under its conditional use permit. The conditional use permit is a kind of permit that allows for specific land uses such as meeting facilities, which is the category of permit we're talking about with Shangri-La. And it allows for these under certain circumstances. The CUP provides flexibility to accommodate uses that can be beneficial and or compatible with the community that they are in. We apply for CUPs frequently around the island and can report that DPP takes its responsibility to the community seriously, as does Shangri-La. Shangri-La has been discussions with the city, including the Department of Planning and Permitting regarding their proposal. And we are currently working on the application. No new construction or modification of the facilities are proposed because the existing facilities are able to accommodate the proposed use. And we believe that Shangri-La's 25-year history of hosting meetings and events like the kind of thing you saw in the video clearly indicate and illustrate that it is appropriate to the kind of activities that are proposed. You can hit the next slide. So this slide summarizes the existing use on the left column and then the proposed use on the right column. And you can see that there are sort of moderate increases, but in the daytime tours, there's no change. The size of certain daytime meetings is proposed to increase to allow for groups larger than 24 people, which is the current cap. The proposal is to allow daytime meetings with more than 100 people, but not more than 170 people, up to 12 times a year. So that's roughly once a month. The number of evening meetings is proposed to increase to 36 per year, above the current 7 that are allowed. This would allow for more of the daytime meetings to transition into evening meetings rather than abruptly end at 5 p.m. as they do now. All evening meetings would end by 9:30, an hour earlier than currently required. Because the evening meetings typically focus on the sunset time, meeting that deadline will not be difficult. All meeting participants will continue to arrive and depart by the vans that are used today. They're 24-passenger vans that eliminates or reduces traffic and parking issues in the community and at the site. And there are no commercial meetings or activities proposed, like weddings or things like that are not part of the plan. If you can hit the next slide. So this is a map illustrating the layout of Shangri-La. The property is shown in the sort of gold color is the property boundary. And it can accommodate the kind of activities we're talking about here and the things you saw in the video because it is so large. It has roughly 3.9 acres of land area. And the main building, which is on the right side, has roughly 24,000 square feet of living area. And the house, therefore, alone is often larger than some of its neighboring properties. And the pool house on the right side has roughly 3,000 square feet of living area. The green hatching, which is kind of hard to see on the screen, but it's in the building area. The green hatching is where the tour people are restricted to. And then the blue hatching, the vertical hatching is the additional areas which are sometimes used during the meetings. This shows the areas accessible to guests are buffered from the neighboring properties by distance and the buildings on the site. So meetings with over 300 or with over 100 attendees can easily be accommodated in the upper or lower lawn areas. And in the next slide, you'll see those more clearly. There you go. So the upper lawn area is near the building, kind of at the end of the pool, the right end of the pool. And then the lower lawn area is just above the pool. And both of those lawn areas, like I said, are over 4,000 square feet in size. The areas that are utilized by the meeting kind of depend on the type of meeting and the needs of that meeting. Some of the meetings are more confined to the indoor spaces, others are in the outdoor spaces. It just depends on their needs. Let's see. What else do I want to talk about here? About this slide, where we're looking at the air photo indicates also that the activities areas on the site are further buffered by the landscaping and vegetation that's well maintained at the site by the crew that works there. And you can't see it here, but there's also substantial topography that further buffers the site from its neighbors. Let's see, anything else? So before we open up for questions, I will say that we are in the early stages of the permitting process. And this presentation to the neighborhood board is a prerequisite to submitting our application to the city. So we appreciate the opportunity to present tonight. Shangri-La is open to community input and will continue to coordinate with its neighbors who are all invited to the meeting tonight. Owners of the properties within 300 feet of the site will be notified by the Department of Planning and Permitting when the application processing begins, and people will have the opportunity to provide input to DPP directly at that time. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and we're here to answer questions.
Before we jump into it, Mr. Hayes, if I can ask a couple of quick questions for you. So what they're asking for, to understand this in plain English, is that they want to use the space to enjoy the evenings there with hosting events as they normally do. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's not a substantial change in the use, but right now, a lot of the meetings, because there's only 7 meetings allowed to continue after 5 p.m., a lot of the meetings end abruptly at that time. And that's sort of the nicest time of the day, is the sunset hours there. There's still a lot of activity in the neighborhood. And so it seems appropriate to allow more of the meetings to extend into that early evening time.
Absolutely. What time is sunset generally about these days?
Well, this time in the summer, it's around 7 to 7:15.
Okay. So they're missing it by a couple hours already as it is.
Yes.
Okay. And then since it is a residence, other residences in the area, what time are they allowed to make noise until?
I mean, if you have your private residence and you're just living in your house, I believe the state rules say at 10 p.m. you have to stop exceeding a certain decibel level at your property line. But there's not like other permits or requirements related to that.
Okay. So if somebody was throwing a party at their house, they would have to shut it off by 10 p.m.
Well, or just not exceed a certain noise at the property line.
Big loud party, let's say.
Yeah.
All right, so 10 p.m.
Yeah, you can't be having a frat party after 10 p.m.
Well, I would notify my friends immediately. So they're asking to shut things down 30 minutes before everybody else would kind of have to shut things down if they were making that much noise. Is that
correct? Right.
Okay. All right. Beautiful. Well,
That would be the time limit, but oftentimes, because the meetings are focused on the more early evening sunset hours, meetings were likely to end well before 9:30.
okay. And no parking in the neighborhood is used. Everybody's shuttling in.
That's correct. So they're 24 passenger vans, and they go around and pick people up in Waikiki or Kāhala, or sometimes they use parking at KCC and shuttle people from there.
Okay. All right. Well,
Excuse me, maximum number of.
Lee, if you can speak into the mic.
Would be the maximum number of vans coming in if you had a full.
Maximum, like at at the largest event.
Yes.
Let me check my notes. Let's see. Yeah, like 13.
About 13. Okay.
Yeah, over the course of the evening.
I'm trying to get a better understanding who's being served by these meetings. Are they local people, Waikiki visitors, mixed? What's being served?
Yeah, I'll let Ben talk about that. But one of the goals and one of the things that the city considers as they process our application is precisely what is the benefit to the community, both the local community and the more broad island and state community. So those are critical elements in the processing of the application. And I'll let Ben tell more of the specific.
Great. Thank you for the question. In regard to who's being served, it's our mission, as it began with, is becoming a more, I'm going to use the same words because it's what we're really trying to have everyone here as a vital community institution. Of course, we've served tourists through our tour program. We always watch through Honolulu Museum of Art who those folks are. It's about 60% tourists, 40% locals, or kama'aina or residents. And that's always been something we've been wanting to try to shift. We want to serve, of course, our tourists, but we want to serve the community. It's really hard to get tickets. So if you saw on the news, we actually just announced for the first time in 25 years a new partnership with Bishop. that just announced will be able to buy tickets directly from our site, our website, and only have a 1-month window, which has really been the block for so many folks. They don't know, as we all live here, we don't know what we're doing in 4 months. Tourists do, so they can go out and buy the tickets. And then when you think, oh, my auntie, my uncle, they have a birthday, I'm going to go to Shangri-La, it's booked. And so just in this shift, we are showing to the community ways that we're going to be able to make it more accessible. The other piece is we're keeping our pricing the same for Kaima'aina, where tourists, it's actually going to be doubling. And we hope that that also increases access as well. What you also get is to attend Bishop. So for our ohana and our community out in Kapalama and in other parts of the islands that just feel more welcome at a place like Bishop Museum versus downtown at Homa, they'll be able to go now get picked up from Bishop and take those the same 24 passenger vans to make it over to experience Shangri-La. Now the meetings are something that we do actually as pauhanas for our neighbors. We do quarterly pauhanas at which we have to then actually end at 5 p.m. and we get a lot of complaints from our own neighbors of why are we having to leave? Why can't we bring more people from our households? Like we have 96 folks that we can have here. Otherwise we're going to get in trouble and we have to shuffle you out by 4:55 or we're going to be breaking our permit. And so actually my first pauhana that I hosted, we actually did open up till 7 because we had one evening event left due to COVID and some other issues. And everyone said, why did we get this? This is so special. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a new director, but apparently there was one evening event left. And that started the conversation of like, why do we have to end so quickly at 5? You know, and so it's truly not a frequency issue. I was mentioning to some neighbors, we have a small staff. We have 2 event folks. We have a manager and a coordinator. We have about 24 full-time heads across Shangri-La, includes all of our gardeners, our maintenance folks. So it's the idea of the same events that we have being able to go longer, just into 6 to 7 to enjoy the beautiful sunset in a cooler time of day. If you've been to the galleries, and if you haven't, we would love to have you. But if you have come, it's just so hot. You can't have air conditioning in with objects from the 12th century. So, you know, it allows us to then extend that, especially to our VIPs. We've been working closely with East West Center. We have now Diplomacy is something that we're hosting. If you're not aware, we have Track 2 dialogues, which are where we have folks that are off the books talking about things like the South China Sea and how do we have safety across the globe using our strategic and geographic location here in Hawaii in a way that we can, again, put Hawaii on the map in a different way than just a place to go to the beach.
So these events are attended by tourists or are these corporate events?
No, as mentioned by Jim, we don't hold corporate events, but what we do are have pulling convenings. As example, the very first clip you saw in the video is Dr. Alondra Nelson, who's the deputy czar, essentially technology during the Biden administration. She brought a global group here to talk about AI. They wrote a white paper about how artificial intelligence can hopefully not take over the world if we have the right safeties, but to make it more vital to the community, we had an open public event where we brought the community in. We had the vice provost from Chaminade, we had an AI teacher from Iolani, and we opened up the panel to use that expertise that's global to bring here to the island so we can actually have some of that talent, not just be having their own closed door meetings, but open it up to the public too.
Thank you. And just as a comment, anybody that has not been to Shangri-La should go. It's an incredible place.
I appreciate that. We work hard.
Just a quick questions on the days of the events and meetings. On this one of the slides, first slides there, you had 5 days for day events or meetings, activities, and 4 days for night events, activities. What days do these fall under during the week, or do they
Sure.
shift?
To my understanding, what we're proposing, the days aren't changing. There's no activity on Sundays. We are there presently on Mondays just as a staff, but we don't hold events those days. So the activities would be Tuesday through Saturdays, with only tours still being on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We do offer ADA tours for folks who have mobility issues. We bring out all the ramps. It's a very small group, maybe 5 to 10 folks, because it's a family. Maybe there's an auntie or uncle, a grandparent, a kapuno who needs just a little more help. And so we don't want to, of course, not open up access. So we do that only on Wednesdays as needed. Mahalo.
Does anybody else on the board have any questions for Mr. Weitz or Mr. Hayes?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard, but in the beginning we are looking for a place to hold a neighborhood board meeting.
Oh.
It seemed a little too self-serving, but
We have to save that for next meeting. We have to save that.
so we'll see how the permit goes if our neighbors are
I mean, you
excited
add-
about the changes.
Add 10 more meetings per year. It wouldn't be that much.
We do hold joking aside, we have been opening up the playhouse and actually the living room. If you're familiar with the galleries, there was a lot of controversy about the mid-century modern couch that existed for many years. Apparently there was nothing special of magical goose feathers inside. It was a Sealy mattress that had been folded. So we were able to discard it knowing there wasn't anything of value. Now we've opened up that space as well as a place where we can have convenings. And it's also in a more insulated place. So some of our neighbors that are at the borders, it's just a way to respect, again, not necessarily always having to go to the same building and have another place a little more central within the acreage that we have. But truly, we after all of this, the neighbors are excited as well. We would be happy to host perhaps annually something that could be helpful for the for the board.
Just to reiterate, we do take bribes and we do love sushi.
And we do not give them, but I appreciate your humor.
Perfect. While we've got Mr. Wise and Mr. Hayes here, does anybody in the community have any questions, any comments? Please step up to the microphone if you're going to make any comments.
Just a question. I heard the term meetings a lot, and activities and events. Are these all interchangeably used, these terms, or is there a difference between a meeting, an activity, and an event? And does that differentiation have anything to do with your timing that you have in there? I just see these three terms getting bounced around. Are they one and the same or not?
So yeah, they're all the same. We try to use meeting more because the DPP's definition is a meeting facility. So when we apply for a permit, we're applying for a meeting facility conditional use permit. But yeah, an activity or an event or whatever, they're all meetings. Yep.
And if I can just add, that's a great question. A meeting or a convening, as we say, especially in philanthropy, or when you're bringing either funders together, and you hear, I was new to philanthropy. I'm like, can't we just call it an event? What's a convening? It's when you bring, folks together to drive impact. There's a critical conversation. It could be diplomatic. It could be related to, one of our grant making programs, arts and culture, child keiki well-being, et cetera. That is really blown out of proportion in the sense of impact when you increase numbers. So I think it's really important as when we talk about what these meetings and convenings are, is when we have 25, 30 people, that's kind of the max. We don't want to, you have too many cooks in the kitchen when you're talking about things like AI. Now, when you have FESPAC, and that's the Olympics of the Pacifica cultures coming together, probably in our lifetime for the only time in Honolulu, that's where you saw the haka in the video. That was a once in a lifetime event where we had the honor to welcome the king of the Maori people in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And that we want to use this aina, this land, to be able to hold special events. And again, put Hawaii on the map in a different way than just a beach and tourist destination. So those are very limited. And so in the permit that we'll be applying for, there will be something of us like a special event. And Jim could speak to that, or we're happy to discuss even after the meeting to be thoughtful to the agenda. If there's any questions about that, but I don't want to be holding large events personally, executive director, that often for so many reasons, burnout of staff, unhappy neighbors. Those are truly special moments where it aligns with both impact and what we're trying to do with our mission.
Thank you.
One last thing, is there an ask for this group?
No, not specifically. The requirement of the DPP permitting process is that we provide a presentation and we invite everybody that's a neighbor to Shangri-La. And we've done that, but we don't need a resolution or anything of that nature. But we appreciate your time and the opportunity to present.
Absolutely. I believe we have John White with the Neighborhood Security Watch with his hand raised. John,
Hi.
are you here?
Yes, yes. So I live on Papu Circle, the same street as Shangri-La, and I support their request. I also reached out to other members living on Papu Circle who are members of our Neighborhood Watch, and 16.5 separate households responded positively. They support Shangri-La. They consider them very considerate neighbors, and they're happy for this to occur. The 0.5 is we had one spouse who wasn't on board yet, so that's where the half.
I'm sure they had an interesting conversation that evening.
Thank you
Well,
for
I
your support,
pointed
Chair.
out, I said, other neighborhoods have garbage trucks that pick up our garbage on Papu Circle and drive to a dump, and all day long they're getting that. There's people who live near waste water treatment plants, and they get a foul odor when the wind blows in another direction. Other houses or people live near halfway houses, derelict houses, even people who live next to the Board of Education buildings. We're lucky we're one of those. So, and 2 blocks over, we have people, or a block over, Kuamano Street, we have hundreds of people walking to Cromwell's Beach every day. And all we're being asked is a few more vans driving down our street. So I think it's a very small sacrifice for Papu Circle residents to make.
Well, thank you for that input, John. And then just to recap for those of you who don't know John, can you introduce yourself briefly, please?
I'm the Neighborhood Security Watch Coordinator for the Kāhala Waiʻalae area, roughly from Triangle Park to the post office. We have 350 unique household addresses who are members. And so if you live in the boundaries, or please consider joining if you're not a member already.
And how long have you been in that position, John?
2018.
Very nice. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for your input this evening, as with the 16.5 households who also wanted to hear their voices heard. Let's see, Mr. Whites, Mr. Hayes. Oh, I see 2 folk over here. Please come up and introduce yourself into the microphone.
Hi, I'm Ashley, and thank you, Neighborhood Board, for facilitating this and giving us a chance at, democracy. I really appreciate that.
You said the special word of the evening.
Yeah,
Thank you.
no, it's an important thing for all of us, so thank you. I'm Ashley, and I'm sorry. I feel like we're going to bring a different perspective to this, but we live next door to Shangri-La, and we have had a wonderful relationship with them for 25 years. The family lived there when Doris built her house, and Shangri-La's staff has been phenomenal, so kind. You all love them, I can tell. They run a fantastic operation. Yeah, I think it's an extremely well-run organization. And what happened in 2024 is we noticed more events, and I think you can tell from the video, it's performance-based events and amplified sound, and 96 people. So it's quite a big meeting at 96 people, and we started tracking, and there were 10 events in 6 months, and the conditional use permit, as you saw, was 7 events a year. So we were concerned that it wasn't being followed. And so we reached out and had a great response from Shangri-La. They, said, we want to be good neighbors, totally understand. We will move these musical events to Capitol Place. And it was like, it's great, like no complaints, fantastic. We're super happy. And then now we heard about this. And so I might have understood it wrong, but I think it was like 250 people, 36 times a year. So, I mean, that's like pretty big meetings. And like, if any of you can imagine your neighbor having parties of 250 people 36 times a year, it affects your life, and 13 vans, being bussed in and out. So yeah, we're concerned about this change just as a neighbor and in a residential neighborhood. I think, events spaces like in Waikiki or Lani Kohunua makes sense, but this is, Doris was her private residence. It's a residential neighborhood. And we kind of want to keep it a residential neighborhood and not an event venue. And the tours are fabulous. The former mission of supporting artists and scholars was great. And I think it's just the mission seems like it's changing to be more of a event venue. And yeah, we're worried about it. So, but thank you for listening to us. Thank you for this opportunity to share all of our thoughts. And we're hopeful we can have a happy neighborly relationship, because we're going to be there forever. So thank you.
Thank you so much for taking the time to have your opinion be heard this evening. do we have any response to Ms. Ashley's concerns?
Yeah, thanks for coming. And Shangri-La will continue to be responsive to community concerns. To kind of answer a question about how many events and their size. As the slide showed, there'll be an increase in number of evening events, but not all of them will be, much larger. It's kind of graduated where a certain number of those meetings will be at one size and another number of those meetings will be at a lower size. So yeah, there'll be more people, there'll be more events, but there'll be restrictions on the kind of amplified music that can occur. And that's already something that is followed today. So yeah, Ben, you can respond further.
Thank you to the Johnsons, Ashley in particular. We have had really good communication as a new leader. I was brought in to improve, that's not fair actually at all to the staff, to continue to commit to the neighbors. Leah, again, who's with us, has been over for 15 years. Our mission isn't changing other than to be more vital community institution. We've been there for the tourists. And what your communication did for us was realize is, wow, this permit is limiting us. We can't, if we have issues with something with amplified sound, let's go to HOMA. It's the Doris Duke Theater. Let's go to Capitol. It's Capitol Modern is the new Hawaii State branding that they have for our museum that's public and free. So we've actually, our last monthly event brought 2,500 people that could go free, enjoy art, enjoy the music that you wouldn't have to hear that evening. We have decibel meters that after Gary, your husband, sent the first email concerned, very, very reasonably so, because we had multiple events in the same week due to FestPac, which again was this once in a life opportunity for here in Honolulu. We started using the decibel meters right behind the Playhouse where the Johnsons, they have two properties actually sit. And so our security guard, Paul, goes down, he checks those decibel meters. Again, we're doing everything within the permit. And I just wanted to respond to the 10 events because there was a discrepancy in the numbers. And we talked to many neighbors across the neighborhood about what is an event? What's a convening? If you all have 20 folks on a lanai, is that an event? If we do something on a community level and we have amplified sound, is it that? Is it a van? Is it two vans? And that's when we thought, you know what, we need to look at the permit. And I really appreciate your speaking up now because this is how we get to make sure that you feel comfortable. I personally lived behind Universal Studios when I lived in Los Angeles. And during Halloween time and Fright Nights, they would send out little flyers saying, don't panic. If you have dogs, bring them in. We have fireworks going on next week. They would give us coupons. You know, we're not doing fireworks. We're not doing screaming Halloween nights. But I have the empathy as someone who felt out of control in a place that you're supposed to feel safe and is your retreat. And that's why I do get low-level anxiety when I get anything from neighbors because I don't want to have, Gary, we've had hours of conversations literally about it because I really care about this place. I'm raising my keiki here. I ran from Hanaho'oli tonight from the room night. It just happened to be tonight, but of course it was. But this place is my home. It's why I've come back after being here at UH. And I'm not here as someone from the continent to now blow up and have 250 or 3 parties a month with 250 people. And I want you to I want everyone to hear that on testimony and at this, here in August, that is not going to be a new Shangri-La. What you should see is just more access for our community, but not just in your backyard. It's going to be throughout the community here in Oahu and across the islands. We're a part of an endowed foundation, the Doris Duke Foundation. We're not looking for dollars. We're trying to give dollars back to the community and really use our resources. So thank you for your continued dialogue throughout. You've been a great partner in that regard. You too, Gary.
Excellent. Thank you very much. In the interest of time, so that everybody who is here tonight to speak, let us move on unless anybody has anything else pressing they would like to say on this matter. Go once, gone twice. Sold. All right, up next, Firewise overview and community invitation. Do we have Ashley here? Miss Ashley.
Yes, I am online.
Hello, Ashley, and welcome.
Thank you. You can hear me okay?
We can indeed. Speak one more time, please.
Testing.
There we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so my name is Ashley Bear. I am with Hawaii Wildfire Management Organization, HWMO. If you're not familiar with us, we're a nonprofit with the vision for the people and the places of Hawaii to be wildfire ready and wildfire resilient. So to that end, we work in wildfire prevention, planning, mitigation, resilience, recovery, basically everything but response. And we work with a variety of stakeholders and organizations from government agencies, including all of the county fire departments, to researchers, community members, community leaders, and individuals that want to make their homes safer. And one of the ways that we engage with communities is through the FireWise program. The FireWise program is a national program that was started by the NFPA, which is the National Fire Protection Association. And it gives communities in fire-prone areas a framework and guidance to work towards wildfire preparedness and resilience. The program was started in 2002 and it has since grown to over 3,000 FireWise neighborhoods across the U.S., including 35 here in Hawaii. We at HWMO co-administer the FireWise program with DLNR. And we currently have 5 FireWise sites here on Oahu and about 7 or 8 more that are actively working towards recognition, including one in this district, the Waiʻalae Ridgeline Estates. But so FireWise emphasizes neighbor to neighbor collaboration because wildfire preparedness is really taken to the next level when the whole community is involved. And we know that once a wildfire reaches the built environment and once it becomes what is called an urban conflagration, which is where we have many structures burning simultaneously and structure to structure fire spread, that's when we see devastation such as what we saw in the 2023 wildfires. And so working on the community level and preventing structure to structure wildfire spread can really help protect property and lives and help firefighters do their job more effectively as well. And of course, that starts in each individual yard and on each individual structure, but taking it to the next level with FireWise just improves safety for everyone and helps to build community as well. So I mentioned that Waiʻalae Ridgeline Estates is working towards their FireWise recognition, and if you're interested in knowing a little bit more, we are going to be giving a longer form presentation at Waiʻalae Ridgeline Estates Clubhouse on September 10th at 6:30 p.m. And that will dive into a lot more details on the FireWise program, like more on the why, what that looks like for different communities, how to get started and gain recognition. And also give you a chance to ask any questions and have a discussion with the Oahu FireWise coordinator. Her name is Erin Conway. I'm just filling in for her today. As I am the former Oahu FireWise coordinator, I've since moved to a different position at Hawaii Wildfire. But if you would like to attend and learn more about FireWise, please RSVP with their recreation center manager. His name is Walter Dower, and I will put his email in the chat. Walter Dower. So his email is dowerw@yahoo.com. And if you can RSVP by September 1st so that they can get a head count and prepare and make sure that you're allowed in. Or if you have any other questions, you can also contact myself, Ashley, ASHLEY at hawaiiwildfire.org, or Erin Conway, the Oahu and Kauai FireWise coordinator. And her email is ERIN, Erin, at hawaiiwildfire.org. And while I have your attention, just some other really great resources I want to plug really quick. If you're interested in individual level preparedness, how to get ready for wildfires for yourself, your family, your home, I would really recommend checking out our Ready, Set, Go webinars. We do them every year with the most up-to-date information, and there is a recording on our website, hwmo.org, of the most recent ones that we did back in May. We also recently published a guide for building for wildfire resilience in Hawaii, and it was created originally with rebuilding in Lahaina in mind, but it is applicable across the islands if you're building or renovating. It's also really good if you're doing renovations and want to do them with wildfire in mind. just of note is that actually all of Honolulu is considered in the wildland urban interface. So every structure in Honolulu is in the Ember ignition zone, according to official guidelines on that. So yeah, again, our website is hwmo.org or hawaiiwildfire.org. And all of those resources that I've mentioned, you can find them under the Get Prepared tab on our website. And I also sent over a brochure, the Firewise brochure, that should be in the Google Drive as well, with some more information on that if you're interested.
Excellent. Thank you, Ashley. And since we have you and your wealth of knowledge here this evening, I'm going to hit you with a quick question, please. What are the top 3 improvements that we see for communities interested in making sure that they are less susceptible to wildfires? I know this is top of mind for everybody since Lahaina.
What are the top 3 improvements that we see in Firewise communities? Sorry, is that?
Yep, absolutely. Just things that we can do to make sure that we as a community are being thoughtful about reducing our fire risk.
Yeah, well, I think that actually community building is a really underlooked aspect of this, because when you're able to engage with your neighbors and cooperate with your neighbors, you are able to build resilience and relationships with your neighbors so that you can do things like cooperate on, you know, maybe their hedge is a little too close to your house or they're not taking care of it or anything. So the community building, and also in that community building realm, we see a lot of people in Firewise communities reaching out and like making connections with kupuna in their neighborhood who might need assistance with evacuation. So they're able to build evacuation plans that incorporate those people that need extra assistance. We see a lot of people who make really big strides in reducing vegetation. So everybody wants like a nice big fuel break around their neighborhood when they're right up against wildland areas, which are just one tool, but they are a really good tool. And we see a lot of people putting a lot of effort into that, which really helps to slow any potential wildfires as they're approaching the communities. And finally, the third thing is connecting with other Firewise communities and learning from other communities that are doing this work as well is something that's really powerful. We have a statewide Firewise network that meets quarterly, and during these meetings, we're able to just bounce ideas off of each other and learn what other communities are doing. We recently had a pilot project at Laukahi Slopes Mini Park in Waiʻalae Ridge, and they brought in some goats to graze down an unmaintained city park. If you Google like Laukahi Slopes grazing or FLERD, FLERD, you'll probably find some news articles about it. But yeah, just some cool innovation comes out of it as well when you're able to bounce ideas off of other communities that are working towards the same goals.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that information. Does anybody on the board have any questions for Ms. Ashley from Firewise Hawaii?
Hi, Ashley. Brian Wong. Question about Kamehameha Schools, aka Bishop Estate. Do you know of any efforts that they are engaging in right now with their properties along various ridge lines for fire mitigation?
Yeah, they are working on mitigation where they have access to. So because there is such a large area of land that's owned by Kamehameha Schools in East Honolulu, and a lot of it is on really steep ridge lines, they've faced a lot of issues with trying to get access to those areas to do any kind of vegetation management, but it is something that they're working on, and we're in regular contact with them, especially as it pertains to our Firewise communities. That's another thing that tends to come out of Firewise communities is it can get the attention of like neighboring large landowners as well, when you're able to be like, hey, we're getting organized here, we're doing what we can in our homes, in our yards where we have the ability and like the access to make those changes, but we need cooperation from you too as a neighboring large landowner. And so Kamehameha Schools has actually been really good about being really responsive to fire-wise communities as well in the area, or emerging fire-wise communities too, like Waiʻalae Ridge and Waiʻalae 5.
Thank you.
Does anybody in the community have any questions for Miss Ashley from Firewise Hawaii? All right, Miss Ashley, thank you so much for your time this evening, and thank you for your wealth of knowledge as well as keeping us a little bit safer in our community.
Thanks for
Up
having me.
next, oh, our pleasure. Up next, representative from Amy Peruso's office. Do we have representatives from Amy Peruso's office here?
Hello. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to present to you folks today. My name is Olivia Eagle, and I'm here with Ella Alexander and Yvonne Yarrow, and we are from the Office of Representative Peruso, and we're here to talk about pesticides in Hawaii and how they affect your neighborhood and our INA. Okay, and to start off with some basics, pesticides are substances that are designed to kill and deter pests. This can include insects, weeds, fungi, and rodents. These can be chemical or synthetic or biological, and chemical and synthetic is often going to be more toxic. And today we're going to be talking about general use pesticides and restricted use pesticides. I'll be referring to general use as GUPs and restricted use as RUPs. And today our main focus will be RUPs. So what are RUPs? RUPs are different than GUPs because they require certification or license to purchase and use, and these are restricted due to the fact that they cause significant environmental and health impacts, and they're most commonly sprayed in North Oahu and Central Oahu as well as West Kauai. And in 2018, Hawaii State Legislature announced Act 45, which stated that starting in 2019, RUPs must be reported to the Hawaii Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, and also implemented 100-foot buffer zones around schools. So some examples we have are 1,3-D and metamsonium. In 2019, 175,000+ pounds of 1,3-D were sprayed. This is a groundwater contaminant and it is highly prone to drift. It's also a carcinogen, which means it can cause long-term health impacts such as cancer, and it is toxic if inhaled. So this can cause respiratory impacts, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. And for metamsonium, in 2019, 30,000 pounds were sprayed. This is highly prone to drift. It can drift up to a mile, and it can cause weakness, blurred vision, cramps, pupil constriction, sweating, lowering the pulse, and also muscle tremors. And I'm going to pass it off to Ella.
Here are some critical exemptions to Act 45. One of them is going to be neonicotinoids. Right now, they are not classified as restricted use, despite being proven toxic to pollinators and birds and other native species. So that means they are not subject to reporting. They're also systemic, which means they're placed in seeds and roots of plants instead of sprayed. And this makes the whole plant toxic. And in this process, most of the pesticide is lost in the soil. We also have experimental field trials by major chemical companies such as Bayer, also known as Monsanto, and Syngenta. They do test GMO crops and chemicals on Hawaiian lands, which could have adverse consequences on our agricultural resources. And they may be exempt from reporting. We're still trying to figure that out, but either way, it is much easier for them to spray larger amounts and ignore rules just because they have more resources and power to face punishments compared to a smaller form. So as you can see, Act 45 is a good start, but it's not enough. The current buffer zone from schools is only 100 feet, but metamsonium is proven to travel up to a mile and likely travels past that as well. It also doesn't properly enforce the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act, which legally requires you to follow the rules on the label. But because the reporting process is so vague, it's easy to cut corners. For example, if the label says you can only spray in certain wind conditions, if it's windy in the morning and not as windy in the afternoon, you could still spray in the morning and not, I guess, get caught. There's also no current mandated environmental testing. So companies and applicators can more easily destroy the land and pass problems on to the next owner. Right, so here we have some maps. The first one, it's just going to be a screenshot of the annual restricted use reporting form that DAB administers. As you can see, the green areas are required, but the white areas are not. So you're not required to put the formulation, pest, dilution rate, time applied, crop or site, just things like that, which definitely should be required. And also here we have some maps, as you can see, on Oahu, most commonly sprayed in the North Shore and Central Oahu. And there's also a map of your neighborhood, which thankfully there's no restricted use pesticides here since it's not as much of an agricultural area, at least from our 2019 data. We also just have a quick map of all of the schools in the area. As you can see, there are numerous schools. So we just want to make sure that we stay no restricted use pesticides here so that our keiki are protected.
So as Ella shared earlier, Act 45 isn't enough, which is why we are presenting at all of the neighborhood boards for this and the coming months. And these are some of the ideas that we have floating around in our office with Representative Peruso and our community advocates. So number one thing is better reporting, a system where we can ensure we know the time that things are sprayed, the wind conditions, what crops or pests are being, what they're spraying for. Increased buffer zones. So as they shared earlier, medium sodium has a drift rate of up to 1 mile, yet our schools are only protected up to 100 feet. So increasing buffer zones will protect our students. And we want to also maybe put buffer zones around other public areas like hospitals, public parks, other places where folks like to congregate. Larger fines, punishments for illegal use, classification of neonics as an RUP, because right now it isn't. And we know that you folks probably are aware that for CRB, they are using neonics to treat it, or some plants and coconut trees are being treated with neonicotinoids. Mandated soil water testing, especially when folks are selling affected land, so that the soil and water, the new landowners are aware of what was treated before they purchased their land, and then more transparency in labeling. So Hawaiian grown doesn't always mean organic. So we want to make that clear that when it says Hawaiian grown, it's not always organic. And then how you can help. So Ella should have emailed the chair earlier today, a resolution that our office, that she worked on with our community advocates actually. So we encourage you folks to take a look at that resolution, and then at an appropriate time, if you folks feel comfortable passing that resolution as a board, to voice your opinion on the pesticides being sprayed in your community. We are probably going to be introducing something similar for the upcoming session, as similar to what we've submitted to your folks. Sharing your experience and testifying. So Olivia actually created a Google form, or a form for folks to share their experiences. So if you have experiences with being exposed to pesticides, whether it be general use pesticides or restricted use pesticide, and you want to share your testimony with us, you can contact our office. We can share that with you afterward. Hold community meetings or forums, sign up for emails and alerts, and stay informed. So staying in contact with our office, or contacting your own elected officials. And then educating your community about pesticide use in schools, and then stand with our farmers, support locally owned organic farms, help other farmers transition to organic practices. And then this Rewild Your Campus, there are folks that we have also partnered with, but Rewild Your Campus is a nationwide movement that is working towards cutting synthetic pesticide use on college campuses by 2030. So we just wanted to highlight some of their work. This was a recent event that they held a couple of days ago, but they hold these frequent boot camps trainings for folks who are interested in learning more about pesticides and how it impacts not only our human health, but our environmental health. And then lastly, we have a few links. So HAPA, the Hawaii Alliance for Progressive Action, their website is linked there. So we get a lot of our resources from them. And those are our main community advocates who've been helping to educate us and given us the ability to share with you folks today. We've also created a few Canva resources for you folks. And then those map series that Ella shared earlier, if you're interested in kind of looking more on like where folks have been spraying across the islands, you can check that out there. Thank you. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to come down this evening. Amy Peruso's mailers, love them, very informational, love the email handout. So thank you guys for that. On a personal note, my father has hyperadvanced Parkinson's from glyphosate exposure, aka Roundup, when he was younger, which luckily passes to me. So that's super fun. But luckily we get great medical care covered through the neighborhood board. So that's not going to be an issue. But these are problems that, as you guys pointed out, it doesn't just affect us. It affects the people that come after us and the people that come after us. And then remind me again, 100 feet or a mile, which is a bigger distance?
A mile.
So the current laws that we have in place are not enough to protect the children that will then carry these genetic defects forward and protect them adequately. Am I understanding that correctly? Perfect. Do we have anybody on the board that has any questions for the representatives from Amy Peruso's office?
Thanks for your presentation. It's very good. Question about the map. As I recall, the map showed Oahu. Most of it is brown or whatever on the North Shore area. That's primarily because of agriculture. Is that it? But the pesticides that we're talking about, could these be conceivably used in, I don't know, golf courses, parks, commercial properties on their landscapes as well?
So I would say definitely yes, there are a lot of dangerous pesticides that are being sprayed, such as, or I guess neonics wouldn't be sprayed, but since they are systemic, but pesticides that would be in these areas. Unfortunately, though, because we only have the data from restricted use pesticides, we can't really assess the damage that those general use pesticides have inflicted. So as of 2019, there were no restricted use pesticides on those golf courses and recreational areas, but that definitely does not translate to general use pesticides. So we are also definitely looking to expand reporting so we can know more about general use pesticides as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Does anybody in the community have any questions for the representatives from Amy Peruso's office? Please into the microphone, sir.
My question is just that you're focusing on schools, and so my question is, do you have, are there cases, documented cases where schools have already been affected, in which there are flat out cases where kids have gotten sick because of the RUPs, or what do you have that shows a real and near-term effect?
Thank you so much for that question. So a lot of our research is tagging along some of the work that HAPA has done, and our community advocate Fern can point to a number of experiences on West Kauai, where West Kauai and Oahu, Central Oahu, are like the highly concentrated areas where there are a lot of restricted use pesticides. And at least with the schools on Kauai, folks noticed that with these experimental farms, even when there were restrictions on when to spray these whatever pesticides they were spraying, whenever it happened, Fern had shared that they noticed that students would have a hard time breathing. They would get like rashes or issues on their skin after or weeks after the moment that they sprayed. I can give more particular resources or specific resources at a later date. I'm kind of speaking out of memory, but this conversation happened a while ago. And then on Oahu, closer to home, we actually have a professor with I think it was the Department of Health or the Faculty on Health, who was studying or who conducted a study last year on some of the issues that the community is facing. So I know that that's an ongoing study, and they're still working with folks to kind of gather that data and like synthesize that data as of now.
Excellent. Thank you guys for showing up this evening. Thank you for taking the time. Please thank Representative Amy Peruso for us. Shameless plug, as the owner of a landscaping company and a native nursery that utilizes no pesticides or herbicides whatsoever, it is possible to maintain landscapes without using these types of sprays and toxic chemicals out in our neighborhoods and exposing our people to it. So keep up the good work. The next time we meet, since the email came to us after we'd sent out the agenda for this week, we will be able to send it out, and then we will be able to pass a resolution if that is asked for in the email regarding your ask this evening. So thank you all so much, and keep us updated in the good work in the community. Thank you. All right, up next, Walk, Bike, Drive, our traffic safety presentation by the Hawaii Bicycling League. Do we have a representative here from the Hawaii Bicycling League? Is it you, miss? With the bicycle shirt. Oh, please speak into the microphone so those online can hear us.
I have a 3-minute and 18-second video that I had sent to you. Actually, your email bounced with me, Christian, yesterday or a couple days ago.
Which one?
CDQ.
Oh, CDEQ.
Did you get it at all, folks? I sent it to Curtis and asked him to send it over. Okay. All right. Well, here's the thing. I got this 3 minutes and 18 seconds memorized. I'm doing this at all the neighborhood boards, and by the time I'm done, all of these guys are going to know everything about it. My name is Paula Bender. I am the Walk, Bike, Drive coordinator for the Hawaii Bicycling League, and we are alarmed at how many kids, cyclists, e-bikes, mopeds, scooters, who are fatalities this year. We're up to 89. This year on Oahu alone, we have 54. And that's double the 26 or 7 that was at this time last year here on our island. One of the things that people need to keep in mind is that the Vulnerable Road Users Law protects everybody who's outside of a big box of steel. And that means all the people that I mentioned before, and the scooters and the e-bikes who are doing wheelies are under the vulnerable user umbrella. And I would think that if you are a driver and you're near somebody who's doing that, and you're in your car, your truck, your business truck or something, you might feel vulnerable too, because what's happening is something happens to this person. You hit them, they get in the hospital, it might become a fatality. There are increased penalties and fees for people who unfortunately have an accident with one of these people. I'm primarily supposed to be building a bridge of courtesy and aloha between bicyclists, pedestrians, and drivers. However, I just feel like it have to include mopeders and e-bike people and scooter people. And because the law is that they're vulnerable as well. And so we just need to, I was supposed to be like, okay, the bicyclist has to get into the road for a minute because they have to pass the mail truck or they have to pass the Amazon truck. Unfortunately, people who are driving don't like that. And so it might take you a couple of seconds to wait for this bicyclist to get past this obstruction and get back onto the shoulder or back into the bike lane. And those were the kind of my main priority. But now it seems like we all have to be cognizant of the craziness that's going on around us on the roads. So it used to be tough love. It used to be, this is your brain on drugs. And now it's, you could be roadkill. Come to your senses, please. So I just asking drivers to be as courteous as you are, patient, and everybody, if you make a shaka when you're switching lanes, or you see a cyclist and gives you a shaka for letting them get through, because I do it all the time. Somebody lets me get through, I give them a shaka every time. We just need to be calmer on the roads, and maybe we can stop these horrendous numbers for the rest of the year. Sorry, I keep blopping out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to come down and present with us. I do have a quick question for you. As somebody who rides a bicycle and also rides a motorcycle, I myself have noticed the increase in people texting while driving, erratic driving behavior, and dangerous driving. One of the earlier things that we brought up was a gentleman who was hit on the corner of Waiʻalae and Hunakai, trying to get those pedestrian intersections changed so that we can provide more safety for our community members. However, at the exact same time too, I've noticed an increase in dangerous behavior by cyclists, moped riders, e-bike riders in particular, where we have younger children with access to these devices, which some of which are like $5,000, $7,000, can go up to 60 miles an hour. When I had to get a motorcycle, I had to go through a 3-day intensive training course. I have to pay for insurance. I have to wear a helmet and do all these things. So it appears as though, just from my own personal observations, that there's an increase in bad actors on both sides of this issue. And I'm curious as to how you would help to curb any of those bad actors in the bicycling and mostly, let's say, the moped and the e-bike community. Because a lot of bicyclists, as you've noted, they're wonderful to be around. It's a great way to get around. You burn calories. It's healthier. It's better for the environment. It's just pleasant to see in the community, a personal opinion. But also, we have to deal with these bad actors. Is there anything that your community and your group is doing to help curb these bad actors in our community?
The governor had vetoed something this past session that needs to be rewritten because the Attorney General told him to veto this particular bill that Hawaii Bicycling League is 100% behind. Excuse me, I don't remember what number that bill is, or act at this point. And another problem or another issue is HPD has a law themselves where they cannot pursue, they cannot give chase. So if you're calling up and you're on Kalanian-Oli Highway and you see a flock of mopeders acting silly on the road and you call, they're really, their hands are tied. And by the time they get to wherever they are gone. You do not need a license to ride an e-bike. There are low-powered e-bikes, 20 miles per hour and less, and then there are high-powered 750 throttle, they can go more than 20 miles per hour. And I'm not sure, but I don't think any of those requires a license. You need a license to ride a moped and a scooter. Or maybe it's just a scooter. But children or riders 18 years and younger are required to wear helmets now. You're not supposed to double ride with somebody on the back of your moped with you, but we see that quite a bit as well. And I think an answer to your question is that we need to have all of them pass a test. I think that they need to be tested before they can be allowed to ride. That's just me personally, though. Not 100% sure if HBL wants that.
Thank you very much for that insight.
You're
Does
welcome.
anybody on the board have any questions for the lady from the Hawaii Bicycling League? Anybody in the community? Thank you so much for taking the time this evening. Thank you for putting in your thoughtful input. It's a pleasure to have you. And to everybody out here and those online listening, please be aware of our Ohana on the bicycles. Let's throw shaka. You. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mahalo.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are almost out of here. I do promise. Announcements. Our next regular meeting will be Thursday, September 18th at Paki. No, we are actually going to be here, the Ala Moana Golf Course building. Let's see, or Alawai, sorry. Wow. It's been a long day. I'm so sorry. Also, traffic notice, Boca Hawaii Norman Kamanaha 15K race will be occurring Sunday, August 10th, 2025. Approximately 300 to 500 participants will be expected. Lane closures will occur approximately from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Kalakaua, Montserrat, Paki, as well as Diamond Head Road, 18th Ave, Kilauea, and Kealoolu Avenue. And this has been organized by Shaka Racing. It has been a long day. My apologies. This has already occurred. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for showing up this evening. Thank you all for engaging in the democratic process. And thank you all for your attention this evening. Everyone have a great evening. Can we get a motion to dismiss? Can I get a second? All in favor? Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much this evening.